Omni was not supposed to be here. To understand what I mean by this, we need to go back a couple months ago. The final qualification match in NAEU was up for grabs. On one side, you had Omni. This was not the same Omni back in KOA 7. Half the team is completely different, with Honor, UKJ, WWY, and Yin L no longer being in the team. Honor and Yin L were in RM and Rivals respectively. Joining Agramot, Juan, and Pitstopper were new survivors Aqua, Laze, and Fluff. While the changes definitely warrants concerns, Omni remained strong as ever. Prior to this qualification match, they eliminated MHX in their bracket, a team that was seen as a major favorite to qualify following Persuadable's tournament back in December. However, facing them on the other side was KoN, or KoN, who surprised everyone after eliminating iAlien and Team Amy. KoN were no slouches either, and they were aiming for the qualification spot. At this point of the match, Omni had the round and point lead heading into round 3, but a 4K from Killer Boss's Clerk tied the scores and gave KoN the opportunity to tie up the round, or even take the lead. However, Pitstopper was at a clear advantage. At this point, Pitstopper has 4K'd all his matches this KOA qualifiers, with the exception of one. Additionally, Pitstopper still had access to Opera Singer, a hunter that can provide winning opportunities for Pit. There's just one problem. The one game Pitstopper tied was also an Opera Singer match. So when Pit banned Antiquarian and Knight, KoN definitely knew an Opera Singer was up in the air. With Puppeteering Coordinator globally banned, Gardener was a clear pick for KoN, and Embalmer was picked to hopefully secure a tie. Mechanic was the next ban, a character Pitstopper had trouble with during that tie match against MHX. After Psychologist was picked, Pitstopper banned Forward, realizing that the team lacked any support to play for a win, with Mercenary being the only remaining safe rescuer for the team. And of course, Pitstopper played Opera Singer. At the start of the game, Pitstopper made his way to Gardener, as Psychologist and Embalmer were all the way at Factory and Shack respectively. And while there's no doubt that Pitstopper is a great hunter, Gardener did incredibly well, as he was able to kite around 2.5 ciphers while also forcing Blink. After Fi gets the rescue, Pitstopper attempts to snatch a second hit on Mercenary, who immediately used the elbow pad to distance himself. Gardener gets chaired once more, and Mercenary was ready to go for a second rescue after a Psychologist whistle. This is where we see why Pitstopper has not lost at this point. Rum made a bold play to decode a cipher nearby Gardener's chair, and Pitstopper takes the risk to hit Psychologist, knowing that she has Shadow Dance to go back. A failed pallet mind game had Psychologist take a free hit, and Shadow Dance allowed for Pitstopper to hit the Mercenary as well. Mercenary gets downed, and Gardener dies near the cipher once more. Despite Pitstopper playing a great middle game, he fails to convert the game into a winning position, as by the time he chairs Psychologist near the 70% cipher, Wolf was already working on a new one way further, and Pitstopper fails to find Mercenary as he gets the rescue with the cipher primed. However, a weird pop caused the Mercenary to get quickly downed. At this point, Pitstopper knows that Mercenary used self-heal. Pitstopper immediately dashed towards Psychologist, who was rescued after half. In an attempt to stall time, Rum hides behind a pallet, but unlike a certain Opera Singer, Pitstopper does manage to see Psychologist and bring the endgame down to just 2 survivors. A 3K was very possible in this scenario. However, during the period he was attempting to find Psychologist, Wolf managed to use the coffin on Embalmer and heal him up. And so, the team plays the long game. Fi stays on the second floor of Factory as Pitstopper fails to find Wolf. With about 30 seconds left on detention, Fi makes the bold move to go to the main gate while Wolf continued hiding. Fi gets caught with seconds left on detention, but not only does he kite past detention, but he kites enough for Wolf to open Christmas Gate. Mercenary eventually goes down. In most cases, this should be a 3K. There's just one problem. Not only did Mercenary have Coffin, but he was crawling distance from the dungeon. He immediately picks up to stop Embalmer from using his Coffin to get Mercenary out through the Christmas gate, but drops him knowing that if he chairs, Embalmer will use the Coffin anyways. Not only that, but since Opera Singer dropped the Survivor quickly, if he picks up again to try and get him far from the dungeon, there's a chance he'll struggle out. And if not, there's a chance he'll struggle out the next time he gets picked up. In all possible cases, this is a 2K. All Embalmer has to do is take 2 hits, and Mercenary either crawls to dungeon or struggles free. Teleport comes out of Opera, Wolf takes a hit, and... No. Oh my goodness. The nerves got to Wolf, and it backfired so bad. If Embalmer just took another hit, not only would Mercenary be able to crawl out, Opera Singer probably wouldn't even be able to use Shadow Dance. Even if Pitstopper doesn't go for the second hit, if Embalmer didn't immediately leave, Pitstopper can't even return because the Coffin was still completely up. Now, I don't want to be mean to the players. KoN is a great team, and before this crucial mistake, they have been playing this endgame exceptionally well. The mistake was likely nerves and inexperience at such a large moment. Believe me, I've experienced competing at IVC before, and oh my goodness, those were some of the worst games I've ever played. But that mistake gave Pitstopper the 3K to end the game without overtime. Whether KoN would have won OT is of course up for debate. After all, Omni still had the map pick, so if anything, they were still at an advantage even if they had tied this. But they also just fought an OT match against MHX, and if it weren't for the failed rescue by Patient, they had a chance to try and escape faster than Omni or play for a 3-man escape. And if another OT were to happen to KoN, who knows if Omni even has the energy to continue playing at that point. In the end, Omni ended up winning, which, despite the many fans Omni has, was still somewhat of a shock to those following the competitive scene in NAEU, especially with such a stacked bracket. Omni didn't do too good during the group stage, but hey, at least we got a clip of Fluff howling. I do think, however, that these matches not only show how long NAEU has before they reach the same level as some of the best in the world, but also just how much NAEU has evolved as a region. And with KoA crowning its first Japanese champion, only time will tell whether NAEU will grab the trophy too.
先日ですね、もうめちゃめちゃ盛り上がってました。
青の選手ですよね。